Mount Everest is the tallest mountain on Earth, standing at 29,032 feet, which is high enough to poke through the upper layers of the atmosphere and make airplanes nervous. It's not a volcano, just a very ambitious pile of rock created by the slow-motion collision of tectonic plates. But what if it was a volcano? What if, instead of a frozen death trap, Everest was a fiery, lava-spewing monster? Let's say one morning, Everest decides to become an active stratovolcano. Maybe it just woke up and chose chaos. The first thing that would happen is that the snow and ice covering its peak, roughly 200 million tons of frozen water, would vanish in a spectacularly fast and messy way. The heat from rising magma would instantly melt the glaciers, causing a cascade of flash floods down every side of the mountain. These floods would carry rocks, debris, and the remains of many unfortunate base camps. By the way, about 300 bodies are currently frozen on Everest. If the volcano starts erupting, well, let's just say the mountain's going to have a closed casket phase. As magma builds pressure inside the mountain, the first eruptions would probably be explosive. Why? Because when magma meets water, you get steam, and steam under pressure behaves less like a gentle kettle and more like a grenade. So picture the top of Everest blowing off like a champagne cork the size of a skyscraper. The sound alone could travel hundreds of kilometers, and the eruption column would shoot up into the stratosphere. If you're climbing the mountain at that moment, first of all, bad timing, and second, you're not climbing anymore, you're airborne. Now, let's consider the lava. Lava usually flows at speeds of around 10 kilometers per hour, which is slow enough to outrun unless you're asleep, stuck in a tent, or distracted by trying to take a selfie. However, Everest is steep. Very steep. That makes the lava much faster. Lava could barrel down the slopes like a burning avalanche, wiping out villages, forests, and possibly large chunks of Nepal and Tibet. And don't forget the ash. Volcanic ash is not soft or fluffy. It's basically microscopic glass shards. Breathing it is about as healthy as inhaling sandpaper. A major eruption would send ash clouds drifting across Asia, grounding flights, clogging engines, and turning entire cities into sad gray versions of themselves. The region already deals with Himalayan weather systems. Now they'd have to add pyroclastic flows to the forecast. But wait, could Everest actually be a volcano? Technically, no. Everest is formed from sedimentary and metamorphic rock, not volcanic rock. There's no magma chamber beneath it, no volcanic vent, and no history of eruptions. Turning it into a volcano would require installing a magma source, something you don't typically find lying around. So, unless the Earth's mantle decides to surprise us with a geologic prank, Everest isn't erupting anytime soon. But let's keep going anyway, because science fiction is fun. Say a new mantle plume opens beneath the Himalayas, a hot spot like the ones under Hawaii or Iceland. Over centuries, or since this is hypothetical, 5 minutes, magma punches its way up, and Everest becomes the world's tallest active volcano. This would make it much taller than any current volcano. For comparison, Mauna Loa in Hawaii is the tallest volcano from base to summit, but Everest would beat it by several kilometers, and with snow that now instantly vaporizes. It would also be incredibly dangerous. Volcanoes and high population density are a terrible mix. There are over 100 million people living within 1,000 kilometers of Everest. An eruption of that scale would cause global disruption, not just local. Global weather patterns could shift from ash clouds. The monsoon season might get warped. Temperatures could dip for a few years. And forget climbing season. Everest would be closed indefinitely due to extreme lava. Of course, there is one upside: tourism. Yes, hear me out. Volcanic mountains do attract a certain type of thrill-seeking tourist. Imagine brochures reading, "Summit Everest, now with lava," or "Witness the fiery beauty of Himalayan doom." It might even inspire a new genre of action films. Lava Summit, The Final Ascent. Eventually, after centuries of eruptions, the mountain would probably lose height. Eruptions often blow the top off volcanoes. So, Everest might go from the highest point on Earth to a massive caldera, basically a crater the size of Manhattan, filled with bubbling lava. We'd lose the iconic peak, but gain one very exciting lake of molten rock. In the end, turning Everest into a volcano is a terrible idea. It would be catastrophic for millions of people, wreck the climate, and permanently alter the geography of Asia. Still, it's an impressive thought. The tallest mountain in the world, waking up and deciding it's not done growing, this time by spewing molten rock and ash across the sky. Luckily for us, Everest is content being a frozen pile of very quiet rock. Let's hope it stays that way.